Hello everyone, we're back with Helldivers 2 for another complete Warbond review, this time the much anticipated Cutting Edge Premium Warbond. We're going to be looking at all the weapons, passives and boosters in this video. This way, with all the information up front, you can confidently decide what to spend your hard-earned medals on. I won't be covering the cosmetics, so helmets, capes, player cards, etc. They pretty much speak for themselves, but for all the completionists out there, unlocking everything in this set will set you back 672 medals. Welcome back to the channel, I'm Stefan, and I have to say that when I learned this Warbond's unofficial theme was electricity, I was a bit worried. Why? Because I always seem to be the one getting zapped by either a teammate with an arc thrower or the Tesla tower hitting me from quite a distance away. Also not uncommon, the laser Garda cutting me in half. Nonetheless, I've put it all to the test, so without further ado, let's take a look at the shocking results. Ah? Cutting Edge is centered around the theme of electricity and is marketed as an anti-automaton package. I've got some thoughts about whether or not that holds up further up in the video, but first let's move on to the part that everyone is looking forward to the most, the weapons. A big brother to the LES 5 Sith, the LES 16 sickle is the game's second primary energy-based weapon to be released. It fires short bursts and same as the LES 5 does only require reloading if you overheat its heatsink. It only has one fire mode but good scope magnification, so it allows for some good distance engagements. Because it feels like you're firing bullets, it's almost as if you're using the AR-23 Liberator assault rifle. And it has the same amount of damage per shot, but almost no recoil and a higher fire rate. As such, it manages to deal quite well with low and medium category enemies. For example, stalkers, at which I normally have to empty my shotgun on, but that might just be me being an underperforming Helldiver, can be taken down quickly from a good distance. Where this weapon shines, however, is against the automatons. Being able to engage them at medium to long distances, and thanks to the low recoil, it can take out a lot of enemies without having to reload if you fire in controlled bursts. I think that the LES 16 sickle is a great weapon, and I'm saying that from the primary weapon's perspective. It can hold its own against swarms of low category enemies and some medium armored ones. It's just really satisfying to hear that staccato impact sound against automatons, especially the berserkers, cause I hate them. Shotguns are popular in Helldivers 2, so when this Warbond turned out to have not one, but two shotguns, people really got amped up. The first one, the SG-8P Punisher Plasma, is a variation of the regular Punisher shotgun and fires exploding plasma rounds, dealing damage in a small area of effect. Comparing the two, you can see it has the same recoil more or less, the same rate of fire, but only half the mag capacity and 1/4 of the damage. So the SG-8P has one fire mode and, much like the grenade launcher support weapon, arcs its projectile at a target but in a much tighter trajectory and lower muzzle velocity. So what are the pros and cons here? What it does have is a slight knockback effect upon hitting larger enemies, though it's not as noticeable as the AR-23C Liberator explosive from the Steeled Veterans Warbond. It also has a brief stun effect when used against automatons if you hit them square on, locking up Devastators as well as being able to take out Striders with one good hit. With higher difficulty missions, however, numbers increase, and this weapon's ability to output enough damage goes down faster than any other primary weapon. Against Terminids, the SG-8P suffers from low effectiveness. Combining its low rate of fire and area of effect damage plus only 8-round magazines means it's hard to deal with the inevitable swarms you'll be faced with, purely with the SG-8P as your primary weapon. For example, I found that even a simple patrol of scavengers and hunters means you'll have to switch to your sidearm or support weapon because you'll run out of ammo before they're all dealt with, triggering a breach, etc, etc. Personally, I'm not particularly fond of this weapon. I'm really used to direct fire as opposed to the indirect mortar-like effect from this launcher type of weapon. What's also possible is that it's just a skill issue on my side because I keep missing a lot of shots. And direct hits are almost mandatory because only then will enemies suffer from either enough damage or the stun effect to have any noticeable effect during an engagement. The second shotgun in this lineup is the ARC-12 Blitzer, the primary weapons version of the Arc Thrower support weapon, with both weapons discharging bolts of electricity. Now stat-wise, it deals a good amount of damage, landing right in the middle when compared to all other shotguns with 250 damage. Like the Arc Thrower, it only has one firing mode. Its unlimited ammo capacity on its own is an attention grabber, but so is the fire rate, as low as 30, which is the lowest fire rate of all the primary weapons. And this is very noticeable in combat, as it takes a full 2 seconds between discharges. Also worthwhile mentioning is the limited range. You'll have to get relatively close, say around 10 meters or 11 yards, for its discharge to connect with enemies. This puts you at an obvious disadvantage against bots, but terminates aren't easy either once you start encountering larger hives, breaches and medium tier enemies, which require multiple hits. As such, maps with dense vegetation or somehow forcing engagements to be in close range will be most favorable to this weapon. Making a quick comparison with the last 16 sickle, that weapon will outperform the Blitzer. In terms of crowd control performance, it's somewhat in the middle. A pro is that the Blitzer is capable of taking out 2 or 3 enemies at a time, but only under good circumstances, and in practice, that's not happening a lot of times. The cone of electricity that the Blitzer fires seems to have its own mind when connecting 2 enemies. This is no issue when you're facing a single enemy in a clean environment. However, when the ground is littered with remains, this weapon has a tendency to choose to connect enemies already dead. In my opinion, this is a debatable weapon in terms of effectiveness. The Arc Thrower shares the ARC-12 Blitzer's limitations in terms of rate of fire, effective range, and the effect not always connecting to either multiple targets or to the intended enemy that you're targeting. The fact that you have to get really close in order to use the weapon in the first place and hits on your intended target are not guaranteed makes this weapon fun for missions up to level 3, but beyond it, it just becomes an ever-growing liability. Moving on to the sidearm and grenade. The last 7 Dagger is a pocket version of the last 5 Sith, firing a continuous beam and has the potential for unlimited ammo. In practice, however, when you're switching to the Dagger to defend yourself from multiple attackers, it isn't a reliable nor effective finisher, as it takes quite a while to finish even the smaller enemies. A patrol of scavengers already proves to be quite the task in comparison to the P-19 Redeemer. The Dagger has its moments, but only at lower level missions will you get away with its heatsink overheating fast and low damage output. Now, on the other hand, if you are a huge fan of anything laser, then this is a must-have in your loadout. Next up is a stunner of a grenade, the Stun Grenade, a scaled-down hand-sized EMS strike. It has one purpose and one purpose only, and that is to stun whatever's caught in its effective radius. Against regular targets, this grenade is useless. It can't blow up bug hives, fabricators, or thin out large groups. This grenade is made to counter automatons. It's absolutely fantastic against the larger, tougher ones. Once hit with the stun grenade, they will briefly power down, slumping forward, giving you enough time to hit them right in the marbles. Even though this grenade isn't very multi-purpose due to it dealing 0 damage, I find it to be a very useful tactical piece of kit against automatons. I'm sure it's not for everyone, and I miss my impact grenades from time to time, but when it comes to bug hives and fabricators, you can always use your hell pods as a workaround, just throw a stratagem through the roof or into the hole and you're done. And now it's time to look at the armor sets. Cutting Edge offers 1 light and 2 medium sets, all with the armor passive electrical Conduit, providing 95% resistance to arc damage. As you can imagine, this has a very narrow application. Unless you're regularly running with a group of friends that uses main arc-based weapons, these armors provide basically no passive at all in any other scenario. One cool upside though, yes, this armor will protect you for 95% of any arc damage, so no more insta-deaths to Tesla towers. But again, this is more of an exceptional situation, so this armor set does not end up high in the armor set rankings. As for the booster, on the first page you can unlock the Localization Confusion perk, which increases the time between enemy encounters by roughly 10%. Something to keep in mind, enemy encounters refers to the bug breaches and bot drops occurring, not how often a patrol spawns. Is this any good? This booster will obviously be most impactful for higher difficulty missions, but I have my doubts if the small bonus will make the difference in being able to clear out an entire reinforcement wave before the next one triggers, so then it has zero use. Somewhere between levels 4 to 6, it might make a meaningful difference if you find yourself getting stuck in an enemy reinforcement loop, but for the lower levels, this booster is just best skipped in favor of Hellbot space optimization or vitality enhancement. As marketed by Arrowhead, the Cutting Edge Warbond's contents are better used against automatons than against terminids. The last 16 is in my opinion the most valuable item in the entire set, followed by the stun grenade, and after that I just find it hard to find any solid third place winner. But I guess I would go for the Arc 12 Blitzer, but only then for terminid YOLO missions. Let me know in the comments what you guys have for top picks for this Warbond and how the Warbond ranks for you on a scale of 1 to 10. Also, thank you to all subscribers and viewers for your support on my channel. The milestone of 1000 subscribers is drawing ever nearer, so if you've enjoyed my content and haven't done so already, consider subscribing and have those notifications enabled to receive my upload alerts. I hope this video has been of help. Share your thoughts on this Warbond in the comments. For now, thanks for watching and see you next time.